Thank you so much for your patience and thank you for joining us. We're about to get started looking through Snowden documents. I'm Elizabeth Voss and I'm here with the amazing Suzie Dawson, and we're just so grateful that you're here with us. So, if Suzie, if you
hey guys, how are you going? Yep, I'm here. I'm just going to mute myself for a sec because my page is loading. I think we're going to get some feedback.
We always have that little bit of a playback issue right when we get started. So I think from chat, it looks like we were up to about document number 101 or 2 or document 108. If anybody remembers specifically which one we're up to, let me know. I'm looking at 102 right now. And that was the Network Analysis Center.
Hi, Kathy B. Hi, Protect What's True. Hi, Matt. You guys are awesome. Yeah, we've got Blake here hanging out with us. His video's off, but he's Secret Squirrel up in our Zoom with us. So we're really lucky to have you here. Hi, Crocker2. Thank you for everything this week. And Fly. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Fly's been making all these shortcut videos of different things that we've uncovered in the series and then circulating them. It's like really awesome what he's been doing. So thank you so much. And I'm really sorry that we were late on today. For inexplicable reasons, my mobile alarm did not go off. Actually, I set 3 alarms and none of them went off inexplicably. I noticed our pirate pad, our first one, also is still down. So, you know, we can theorize about why that is. But let's have a look at the document list. Yes, Fly is the man, Matt. I completely agree with you. Completely. Awesome. Okay. I'm just going to hunt this down. I think we're on like 106 personally, but
yeah, I can't remember. The last one I remember us going through is about 102, but we may have just breezed through a couple after that. I'm not sure. But yeah, wherever we want to start. 106 was OPSEC. I remember that one. OPSEC identity theft. Remember us laughing about that a little bit. And then there's SID award.
Haha, I've got it. Okay. Strategy and governance, we definitely did.
Yeah.
Chief SIG development, yeah. Network Analysis Center, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we broke 100 for sure. I just don't remember exactly how far we got beyond that.
I actually thought we finished on the UN file. But maybe not.
Which one? Which number is that?
Oh no, we skipped past a bunch that were covered by intercept.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey, I'm just gonna sneeze.
I hate that. I hate that feeling. Last time I was having to had the same issue a couple of times.
Yeah, it was a horrible flu last weekend too. Sorry guys that I missed the Saturday stream. I was like completely struck down with flu, but I'm still a bit sniffly and sneezy, but I'm okay. At least I don't have a temperature or anything, so we should be fine. Okay guys, I'm gonna share screen and let's get started.
Fantastic.
Just open a bunch of these and just get my pop-out chat happening as well so I can actually see what you guys are all saying to us. Oh, so cool. Oh, thank you, Fly. Yeah, I'm totally good. Kathy B, I wrote a big report on you, Suzie. Really? Like a school report or a like web report or a police report? Feel free to share the link. That would be super cool. So I'm just going to open like 10 and then we're just going to work our way through them. Yeah, Elizabeth, I will just, before I get into this, I will just quickly shout this out. Elizabeth released an amazing investigative report through Disobedient Media this week that bounced all around the internet and got ridiculous amounts of shares and views. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And then H.A. Goodman actually did an interview with The Source, a huge interview with him, really, really groundbreaking stuff that implicated both the Democratic and Republican establishment in human trafficking and child sex trafficking. So that was some incredibly courageous work and incredibly significant work. So if you haven't seen it, do go and check it out on disobedientmedia.com.
Thank you. I really appreciate mentioning that. And the source, Greg Butroni, is a really, really brave human being and deserves a huge amount of support. So I hope people are nice to him. I'll put it that way. Okay.
Oh, awesome. Kathy is a journalist for several Native News, Yahoo, and Google groups, and has written up what we're doing. It is really, really cool.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, document time.
Great.
You too can be a published author. So I think what they're wanting people to do is just to write. I mean, it's debatable whether contributing to an internal NSA newsletter makes you a published author, but that's what they want you to do. Do you know someone that the rest of the SID workforce should be made aware of? Or do you have an interesting story to tell? Maybe you want to tell us about the barbecue that you ate in Texas, or the luau that you had in Hawaii, or the skiing you did in Norway.
So it's like putting out a call to arms for that that type of intra-agency brochure writing that they do so often that we've had to read through so much.
Right. If you have an idea for a story, use the submit an item box. Okay, cutting edge stuff. Oh, really? Okay, things you should know about information sharing. If the SIGINT system, which is the system that provides all of this in private data and information to the NSA, were a private company, which it borderline is. I mean, it's not because it's owned by the government, but the way that it's structured and performs as if it is a corporate enterprise, what would it sell? Historically, our product has been information.
Interesting, yeah.
But crucial as this is, in recent years, it has become clear that we have other goods of equal value to offer our customers. This is what they call diversifying. They are diversifying their product offering. Things that have sometimes been locked away inside our walls and our fences. What kinds of things? Our knowledge, our insight, our data, our accesses. Really, you're going to sell your accesses? Now the agency and the larger intelligence community have recognized the need to get every type of valuable information from whatever source to those who can use it. The drive to make this happen is known as information sharing. So this is, again, Transformation 2.0. This is the agenda that George W. Bush set out post 9/11 for the intelligence agencies to share everything. Well, in a business context, that sharing becomes a new product line, to supply with a customer with. Information sharing is one of the most important challenges that we face as an agency. Analysis and production, with the help of our counterparts, our policy counterparts, has spent the past year making substantive changes to policies and processes that stand in the way of partnering and collaboration, which in short means slashing the rules that bind them.
Wow, interesting.
At the same time, the Customer Relationships Directorate has pioneered other aspects of information sharing, specifically in implementing the swimming upstream concept. and new reporting and dissemination methods. Yet again, they do not use a capital U on upstream, which tells me that upstream, the program, is different from swimming upstream, the colloquial terminology for accessing data databases that are
Interesting.
Or above them is probably not correct, but closer to NSA, if not inside the bounds of it.
That makes sense.
Now the time has come to move from pilot programs impacting only a few to institutional changes that will affect all analysts. Yeah, there we go. They've just invoked Transformation 2.0. You know, it's interesting that this is actually the first reference I remember seeing to helping to improve the country's security.
Yeah, I think we've only seen a couple of other references to that type of thing.
Usually the goal isn't stated as improving the country's security. Usually the goal is like better fulfilling, better serving our customer needs and requirements or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that language, that's a rare use of that language.
I think there was maybe like one other time that it was brought up, and you had mentioned that it was brought up so rarely in this material. So
you'd expect it to be in almost every document, but but it's not. It's usually about business goals, business objectives, blah 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 blah.
Rather than the enterprise,
If you ask the public, like, what are the priorities for the NSA, they'd be like securing our country, right? And if you ask the NSA what their goals and what their priorities are, they'll say, so better serving our customer needs, like, or yeah. They haven't, and God, I wish these hyperlinks worked. How cool would it be if I could click on here and actually go to their internal information sharing webpage?
That would be awesome, or at least interesting.
So it's now easier to work with other agencies. They've enabled their collection staff specifically to collaborate with other, I want to say agencies, but it's not just agency, it's public and private. How the new dual authorities concept will allow analysts to more readily form analytic partnership cells.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That sounds like on the fly they can create a team of analysts, even if the team is maybe only 2 people.
Yeah, so as you were saying earlier, this definitely fits generally under Transformation 2.0, but I think it has a couple of references that are a little bit unique to this document, like partnership cells, and then just the fact that it mentions security at all. I think is a little bit different from what we've seen in other references to Transformation 2.0.
Okay. So the crux of Transformation 2.0 is information sharing. Whenever I say Transformation 2.0, I think of George Bush's speech where he literally stood up and was like, our intelligence agencies need to better share information, blah, 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 blah. I think that the two are directly correlated. Okay, NSA provides unconventional support. I assume this is relating to a convention, given the quotes there. There are a handful of NSA employees who, if asked what they did on their summer vacation, could include the exotic destinations of Boston and New York City on their itineraries. While they may have wanted to enjoy chowder is awesome, especially in a bread bowl. Like, seriously, it is. Baseball, Broadway, and shopping. They instead were focusing on their role as NSA as providing SIGINT support to the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and other national agencies at the DNC and RNC. I'm pretty sure that this was covered in the Intercept reporting, the Republican National Convention. So I think that we can, this is what NSA calls an expedition, even though an expedition is usually international. In this case, is just to, as I said, Boston and New York. But this was covered by Intercept, so I think we can leave that alone.
That makes sense.
Okay. Oops, wrong button, sorry.
No problem.
Okay, identity theft and name the mascot. Hi there, allow me to introduce myself. I'm the new mascot for the SIDToday program. My name is, actually, let's talk first. What I have to talk about is much more important than who I am. That is fascinating. That
Very,
is
very surreal.
Extremely fascinating.
Well, and then it says recently my humans right after that, the portion that you've highlighted.
Oh God, that's fascinating. I want to screenshot that and make like a Twitter banner out of it.
Yeah.
With that sentence highlighted. What I have to talk about is much more important than who I am. Recently, my humans, aka the SIDToday program managers, sponsored a briefing for SID personnel on the topic of identity theft. Just in time, too, one of them got an email that very night from someone pretending to represent Citibank, asking her to go to a website and type in her password. Can you imagine trying to fish for information from someone who earns her living helping people keep their information secure? Oh, God.
This is so ironic.
They're violating the privacy of every man, woman, and child on the planet, and they tie that up under the heading helping people to keep their information secure.
Exactly.
How silly, of course. Nobody would ever try to steal my identity, although I'd like to see someone try. I'd toast them. And it's the SIDToday dragon. Sadly, we cannot see the image of the dragon because that would be very cool to be able to. And I guess that's why they'd toast them.
It would be great to be able to have the actual image they use to make it into a meme, but oh well.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. So this is after their presentation. So in a previous document, we saw that they'd scheduled this presentation that they were going to do on OPSEC training. Now they've had it and they've decided to create a mascot. Work-life services. As the work-life balance service division.
Oh, wow. The OPSEC dragon, magnificent purple OPSEC dragon, needs a dignified regal name. Wow.
But he's not supposed to share his name.
Yeah, but yeah,
it's not, but it's bad OPSEC.
This is like some sort of weird high school level like essay contest type entry thing. Like it's kind of odd to read, or it's just really corporate, like something you'd read in Walmart material.
I think that it's supposed to be like a team building exercise.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like, oh look, we have like a pet like that we can, a mascot, isn't it cute? Let's name it. Oh no, let's not name it because it's the OPSEC dragon.
Exactly. It's supposed, yeah. Exactly.
But I find that and then they're asking people to email through name suggestions. An exclusive panel of judges will review the suggestions, direct quote, and whoever submits the winning name will win a fabulous prize. Okay, so maybe not fabulous, but you'll at least win a prize. But that sentence, that is so amazing. What I have to talk about is so much more important than who I am.
Yeah, and it's like the NSA's version of a university mascot. It's the same thing. It's just like you were saying, though, that the whole play on, oh, but my name's not important because this is all about OPSEC, blah, blah, blah. So.
But an organization whose mission is identifying people.
Yeah.
Is like, what I have to say is so much more important than my name, except what you have to say is how we're going to find out your name.
And sell it.
target you with all the 150 billion agencies that now have, through Transformation 2.0, have access to the data.
Yeah.
It's just very, amusing. Okay. How are you guys going there in chat? Cockatoo, what's the Google? Oh, did you find the dragon? Oh my God, I was going to say, is that the link to the OPSEC dragon?
That would be fantastic.
Oh, that would be hilarious if it was on the open internet. That would be so funny. Oh, look, they put links to your article and everything. You guys are so cool.
Oh, thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. That's a really important story, and I'm glad that people have been so interested in it and shared it so much. And every single time somebody shares it, I'm just really, really thankful because, it's not just a newsworthy story; it's a genuinely important story. So.
Just trying to catch up on Twitter. Sorry, guys, I've like totally failed at actually even telling people that we're live. Discussing Sid the OPSEC dragon in the Snowden SIDToday files with Suzie and Elizabeth Voss. Like, God, I'm going to cry. That's so funny. Did you see Fly's tweet?
Yeah, I did. I just retweeted it. That was awesome.
That is absolutely classic. The NSA has an OPSEC mascot, but won't tell you its name. Quote, what I have to say is, what was it? So much more important. I want to directly quote that document.
You may have to screenshot it because I don't know if you'll have enough characters I know Twitter's increased the character limit, but it may be too much. Not sure.
What I have to talk about is much more important than who I am, right?
Hey, at least they chose your favorite color for the dragon, Suzie. They made it a purple dragon.
For me, purple is the color of the Occupy movement, like not the NSA.
No, I know. That's just why it's interesting, though.
Yeah, purple is red, white, and blue. I know even Hillary Clinton co-opted purple.
That's true.
It's very annoying to me. But purple is the color of the Occupy movement because red, white, and blue combined, like in a melting pot, is purple. That was how that came about, and also therefore the color of Internet Party.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The opposite. Okay. I think that they should name the dragon Ed. Ed the OPSEC dragon.
I like that. Now we win a prize.
Oh God, imagine how funny that would be if NSA is putting out like these, tell us what we should name this, that, or the other, and people like Ed.
Yeah. That's a type of name I would submit.
They'll probably get some massive black mark next to their name, but
no, then they get psychologically analyzed based on what name they submit.
Profiled.
Yeah.
Profiled and stalked and fired. Okay, moving along. It's not often we get like a document that is that outright hilarious. So
that's talking about purple dragons, yeah.
Cockatoo. Let's see. Cockatoo's trying to tell us something. For the fly, yes, and what a dragon it is. I want to see this dragon. I'm just going down a few rabbit holes from the chat. That's like a dragon. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Tell me that's not the OPSEC dragon, surely. Oh my God, this can't be. hang on, this is what Cockatoo has found. Surely this isn't the OPSEC dragon. Look at this monstrosity. Make it big.
Oh, wow. I'm afraid that might actually be it. Like, that actually makes some sense.
It's bizarre. It looks like a D&D thing. Well, I guess actually that would be probably quite relevant, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons being denial and deception.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. Oh, good. Matt, that's so clever of you to actually take screenshots like that and to tweet it. I would just ask you if you would tag the hashtag into it as well. That would be really, really, really cool. Oh, you did it. You got it. Oh my God, Matt, has actually made the banner. Like when I was saying before, I want to make a banner of that with that line highlighted. He's actually made it.
That's awesome.
That's so good. Oh, how exciting. So cool. Okay, moving along. Next document. New SID award. Oh my God, this must be like, what, the 20th document about an award?
I think they have more awards than they have employees.
They have more awards than they have pay rises, promotion.
Exactly.
Okay, this is the Distinguished Service Award. A distinctive way of showing our appreciation to people, civilian or military, who've made great contributions to SID and its mission. I can't help but want to put like attach acidic comments to the end of every sentence, like the people who supplied the faulty intelligence to George W. Bush for his 2002 UN speech, for example. Yeah. I'm sure it's got a Distinguished Service Award.
A gold medal clock? Wow.
Yeah, I think they're into gaudy things, to be honest. Yes, you too can earn a gold metal clock with the Signals Intelligence Directorate logo on it. Okay. Modern conventional warfare, costs and outcomes in the 21st century. Wondering if this is heading more towards the drone stuff. A discussion of the potential costs and possible outcomes of modern conventional state-on-state warfare. Maybe it's more electronic. Modern revolution in the military arts. They actually, it's weird how like they actually describe warfare as an art. Like, I mean, I know it's like the art of war, right? Like Sun Tzu or whatever, but still, I find it a strange crossover.
Yeah, well, it's a totally different way of thinking about killing people than I think people, maybe from our perspective, would apply to this type of thing. I mean, it shows you the way that they're kind of dissociating themselves from what they're actually doing.
Yeah, and the way that they're trying to make it like it's academic, it's intellectual, it's like, it's still killing. Like no matter how artfully you pull it off, it's actually still just killing.
And then it goes on to say this revolution is the current version of, and then I can't see because of our Zoom chat what the next line is, but
current version of an ongoing series of fundamental changes in the way wars are fought now and into the future.
Well, that's literally redundant and saying exactly what they said in the last line. So they're not actually giving you any new information.
The only wars that I know of that were even going on at this time is Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Why are we on?
Yeah, but those aren't really. I mean, no. Once they had overthrown Saddam, they weren't fighting a conventional war anymore.
Right? Because Iraq, they actually didn't even have initially didn't even have anyone fighting them.
Yeah. So mostly it's been an unconventional situation for the last however many years. So.
Right. But what I read from this is that Iraq and Afghanistan was an opportunity for them to test a whole bunch of new technology and weaponry. And that now they're like, this is like, turning the corner to the new century of warfare or whatever.
That makes sense.
That's my take on it, because it is a well-established fact that they literally use these war zones as testing grounds.
Yeah, and they're probably, from the way that reads to me as well, they have to be looking forward to the future of what could potentially happen. I mean, obvious that there's just no other way to read that.
Okay, let's go back over it, because I think this is going to be an important document. This revolution is the current vision of an ongoing series of fundamental changes in the way wars are fought, and into the future, as you say. However, revolutionary weapons systems, strategies, and tactics do not necessarily result in assured military outcomes. And this is precisely what we've seen. So what they're saying is we might have all this fandangled new stuff that can do all of these amazing things. However, we can still be defeated by a traditional, like a local civilian insurgency, as we have been for hundreds of years. Because time and time again, they have been unable to completely subjugate an urban area over a prolonged period of time just by having superior firepower or more artful methods of killing.
And I can just see the ... at the end of this. Therefore, keep funding us, keep giving us more money
to keep more stuff.
Yeah, so that we can beat the threats that are hypothetical. So.
Nor can the weapon system's costs be measured simply in monetary units. The presentation and discussion will seek to look at this revolution. I find it quite offensive that even gets used in that term. And it's top secret, and provide the participants with a broad understanding of military and political challenges of modern conventional warfare in the 21st century.
I really want to apply this to drones, but they don't go specific enough to know if that's specifically what they were referring to. It's the right time period.
Electronic weapon systems.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the next big one.
That would make sense.
The WikiLeaks document showed them as being tested. I think the documents of 2011 or 2012 showed electronic weapons as being tested, operationally feasible, and rolling out to law enforcement from 2014 to 2024. Now, for the weapons, the private for-profit weapons companies to be publishing marketing brochures on it in 2011 means that it must have been invented and tested by the military because this is the entry to commercial space, right? Yeah. So it must have been like 7-10 years prior that they were testing that. So you can assume that those electronic weapon systems, which we're only just now learning even exist and aren't just a conspiracy theory, were probably initially deployed. And actually, now I think about it, there was some like erroneous articles about like the armies blowing up a tank with a laser or something in Afghanistan. I remember.
Yeah, I think I remember that as well. I'm not sure about the details, but
blowing up a truck by like using a laser targeting the gas tank or whatever. So you get like erroneous reports like slip through, or just random reports slip through on occasion. But
it sort of sets the stage,
or they allow it to. It's possible that they're deliberately like allowing that to come through. But what I'm trying to say is I think that it probably is a 10-year gap between it being in a top secret lab in the military and it moving through the weapons manufacturers. That marketing report that I'm talking about, you had to pay 8,000 euros to access that report. So it's interesting because we had this, you and I had this conversation last week about the access spectrum for technology, new technology,
Yeah.
how it goes from the military to the military commercial to the corporate to the populations of the favored, to American population, then to the populations of the most favored countries. But this access to information also has the same spectrum. So if you're in the military, you get to access information that is not available in the commercial or the corporate sphere. But if you're in the corporate sphere, you get to access information that is not available in the public sphere. And how they create the barriers to who can access the information is by creating economic barriers.
Yeah.
So if your company can afford to pay 8,000 euros for one report on weapon systems, then you have information in your hand about the weapon systems that are being developed and are being rolled out, the revolutionary, modern weapon systems that are being rolled out. If you cannot afford to pay 8,000 euros for a couple of pages of report, which is like the entire general public pretty much, then you do not have access to that information. So
yeah, and I think this conversation is going to be more, we're probably going to come back to this over and over again as we go through this batch and the next couple batches, because of the time period that we're going through with this. I mean, it's just more and more relevant because there's going to be so many more developments that then, like you said, are then filtered through these kind of stages of military, then corporations, then eventually later to the public. So yeah, and I think last time we spoke about this, I compared it. It always strikes me as similar to the way that corporate media filters stories and information, and the whole concept of information being power. That whole issue, that's very much parallel to me with this technology throttling sort of dynamic that happens.
Look, this is also what we saw coming from Stratfor. So Stratfor tried to create the same type of system where, oh, thank you, Cockatoo, where by paying them money, a pretty sizable amount of money, I can't remember how much it was, but it was definitely would have been pretty expensive for the average person. By paying them the subscription, you then could access all of this geopolitical information that otherwise you wouldn't be able to in the public sphere, or from their network of spies and insiders and informants and whatever all around the world. So yet again, the barrier for the regular person to accessing that information was an economic barrier. So you have classification barriers, like this is a top secret session. If you don't hold a top secret clearance, you cannot attend it. It will not be videotaped. The information will not be shared. But then you have economic barriers, and they exist right across the commercial space and to the public as well.
Yeah, and beyond that too, you have
the information.
And then you have beyond the economic barrier, you have how many people actually would even know about the fact that such and such document exists, of those people who would want to access it. So, there's all sorts of issues with all of these things.
Of course. And then obviously there's educational barriers, and there's language barriers, and there's other barriers that are engineered to prevent people from accessing and understanding.
And that goes into a whole meta conversation about the state of society and all that sort of thing. But
definitely. But I did find it very interesting because studying that, the document I'm referring to, by the way, is from the hacking team dump. WikiLeaks, the hacking team releases. And that was the first time that I realized that this is a standard practice, that these weapons manufacturers put together these marketing brochures, not just about buy this tank or buy this plane, but about new cutting edge technologies that aren't in the public sphere. And then, they went so far in this document as to list every single manufacturer of the products and every single country and force that had procured those products, and a bunch of other information. But yes, without WikiLeaks, and this is, okay, now we're going to get on a rant about the power of WikiLeaks. Without WikiLeaks, if you didn't have 8,000 euros to pay for that report, you would never know about it. So what WikiLeaks is doing is literally democratizing information. It literally is. WikiLeaks is those barriers that we've just discussed WikiLeaks is smashing them out of existence.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we can get on an entire conversation about how important WikiLeaks is, and it's democratizing the information, and it's allowing, I think I've said this before on a stream, it's allowing independent media and independent journalists basically to exist, because without something like WikiLeaks, all we can do is kind of parrot some of the information that we would kind of be stuck in that pyramid of information that is controlled by the corporate state. And with WikiLeaks, we are able to circumvent that. And I think, John Pilger's talked about how WikiLeaks has changed the entire journalistic scene. And literally, he was asked about how, have whistleblowers increased over time? And he said, no, it's the same. People have always been whistleblowing, but WikiLeaks has changed everything. And so
the model, right? It's changed.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you cannot overstate how important WikiLeaks is, for sure.
Like, Protect just said before, Protect What's True said in chat, how about the art of peace? Like, we don't need the art of war. How about the art of peace? And this made me put two and two together and realize that while the military is engineering new modes of warfare, new equipment, new avenues for pushing their technological capabilities further and further out, WikiLeaks has been engineering new information pathways for the public, ways that the public can get. I mean, something that people don't realize, there is a video of Aaron Swartz being interviewed by RT, and Aaron Swartz himself says that he was working with WikiLeaks on the submission system. And this is before Secure Drop ever existed, before it was ever called Secure Drop, before Kevin Paulson, whoever those other guys are, got involved. So WikiLeaks was working on engineering these pathways for sources to protect them and to be able to receive the information well before, the efforts that we've seen in the commercial space since. And I've noticed that, now I'm getting a bit down the garden path, but I've noticed that there is a propensity to try to strip WikiLeaks of its achievements in order to downplay and diminish its significance. And one of the ways that is done is people say, oh, well, Secure Drop has nothing to do with WikiLeaks, and, the source protection that's going on around the world has nothing to do with WikiLeaks. That's total bullshit. Without WikiLeaks' efforts, to not just efforts like human efforts, but their technological efforts to advance, create encrypted pathways to receive communication, there would never have been any of it.
Yeah, and I think, that's a huge point, for sure. Like, and it's because we all, like, I know I see it around, maybe a lot of people don't, but I see all the time people discuss the fact that WikiLeaks has that 10-year perfect record of publication of, verified documents. That gets bantered around quite a bit. But I don't think that, what you just mentioned, I don't think that gets talked about quite as much, about how they've made such a difference with secure, the ability for sources to submit securely and all of that issue. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, they continue to do so. And I mean, what other journalistic organization has had the vision, the strategy, or the technical proficiency to be able to do that? In fact, they have I can't think of a single other journalistic organization that actually made the source, the protection of the source, integral to its organization. They would say, well, I'll go to jail, I won't reveal my source if they're an individual journalist who's been targeted by the government. But as an organization, was the priority of the publishing organization to create technology and tools to facilitate source protection? I don't think so. It was the responsibility of the individual journalist, and the publishing organization was like, hey, we're just the publishers.
Yeah, exactly. And on so many levels, there is nothing comparable to WikiLeaks. Just in multiple different facets. They've just revolutionized journalism, publishing, information, the list goes on. But.
Absolutely. I think WikiLeaks is the first organization that has said, actually, it is our mission, our core mission, to protect and facilitate sources providing information. And they put the money where the mouth is, on every front related to that. Okay, moving along, back to modern warfare revolution, courtesy of the NSA. Where are we?
I saw that red bar. I thought you'd been banned for a second.
From Zoom, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a top secret session and they're not going to video it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think as far as what you were just mentioning earlier, I think speaking about WikiLeaks as far as participating in the art of peace is a really great way to phrase that. And I think I don't mean to get off on a rant again or to diverge onto that, but I think that's a really great phrase to use in an article or on Twitter or just maybe in a meme somewhere. You know, they're waging the art of peace or whatever. But so thank you, the person in chat who mentioned that.
Yeah, that was pretty what's true.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Really great, super famous meme of a quote of Julian, right, where he says, like, all wars are started by lies.
Yeah.
The peace can be started by truth. I think that he's consistently displayed an anti-war, pro-peace agenda for his entire career.
Absolutely.
And I agree that WikiLeaks, that are waging peace. Or actually, there's a website, isn't there? Waging Peace.
I don't know. I've never if it does exist, I haven't been to it. But
Google. Kathy's saying Google gold clock intelligence agencies. Really? What happens?
Is there something interesting to find if we do that?
Cockatoo's asking me to give Kathy B mod rights. Done. Sorry,
I'm Googling this gold clock.
Okay.
I see the CIA memorial wall. Interesting. I don't see any particularly relevant clock come up. So if I'm missing something, somebody in chat, let me know what I'm supposed to be finding there. Fly, I see the purple dragon you post on Twitter. That's hilarious.
Okay, let's keep going on darks.
Yeah.
Done with that. New DDAPS, DDAPS, Deputy Director for Analysis and Production, addressed to S2. Oh, this is the address of one of the new people coming in. So remember, there was documents that talked about senior management changes. So this is one of the new guys.
More self-congratulation. Surprise, surprise.
I am humbled to be reassociated with this fine workforce.
People are most important to me, and I will make time.
These are almost uniform. Like whenever you whenever you read these like bulletins from the senior management, you could almost like just remove the name, like stick any name in there, because they're always saying exactly, it's that corporate management speak. It really doesn't matter who's saying it. It's just the same stuff every time.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I've noticed that. Yeah, I don't personally see anything particularly interesting in that file.
Our superior performance is well known across the international, intelligence community and our client base. We will continue the stellar work.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Significant contributions to our client success in the defense of the nation.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye when I was saying.
We will celebrate mightily.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the words great work are in there about 5 times, I think.
Yeah. They you know, they don't have the best writers for these things, I would say. You know, the statement.
Okay, top secret, interesting. Wireless Portfolio Management Office, NSA's wireless portfolio. In early 2002, Fran Landolf, Chief Cryptanalysis and Exploitation, was endorsed by the director to blah, blah, blah. Wireless is defined as personal communications devices offering mobility and location-based services, such as cell phones, satellite phones, trunk mobile radio, wireless local area network, and the like. Its challenges are primarily persistent access, user identification, and geolocation. Persistent access, interesting, very interesting.
So wait, are they saying that the issue is they can have interrupted access sometimes? So when they're
I would consider not knowing their full capabilities in 2004, that there's a big difference between sticking a tap on a physical phone line, where that physical phone line is always going to physically exist and be present, and sticking a tap on a mobile phone, which can switch service provider at any given moment, or switch country or physical location at any given moment. So I think the nature of tapping a landline is different from the nature of tapping a cell phone.
That makes sense.
That's my personal take on that. Now, eventually they got to the point where they would just tap the SSN, right? They actually, so the handset itself. So it didn't matter if the SIM card was changed, didn't matter if the network was changed, didn't matter where it was in the world, they could track that serial number of the handset. Whether or not they could do that in 2004, I don't know. They might have just been developing that ability either at this time that we're looking at or in the wake of that time.
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing I thought of was just, somebody going out of service and having, interrupted access in that sense. But
they're complaining that mobile devices sport hard encryption. Recognizing at the time that the exploitation of this critical set of technologies lacked a comprehensive and cohesive strategy, both internal to NSA and across the IC, they set plans in motion to formalize the activities, blah, blah, blah. By late 2002, an entire office was established for tapping cell phones. That is interesting. I consider that to be interesting. Because cell phones were in fact in use since like 1994 or something like that.
Yeah. Definitely. I like I also think their dot points there are interesting, just, from my own understanding.
This needs a lot more.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
But this line, shape and influence corporate policy and architecture. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little cough.
No problem. Yeah, I think this document is looking pretty interesting so far. I'm hoping we'll get some more out of it as we go through.
Yeah, that's, I think, point one, that they established this office, that they saw this as such a massive growth area, that they've actually established an entire office to deal with collections relating to it. Two, I think the date is significant, where they say that happened in 2002. And three, if this says what I think it says, and I say if because I don't know, but shape and influence corporate policy and architecture. To influence architecture, they're saying they're not talking about their own architecture, they're talking about corporate architecture. And the corporate architecture that they would be wanting to influence would be that of the hardware manufacturers of mobile phones and or the providers.
So this is literally talking about something like Apple or Microsoft. This is influencing their create. Yeah.
That's what I mean, is they could be saying that they want to not just monitor mobile phones. I mean, this is my read of it, but we would need to read more than that, because I don't know when they're using the word corporate. I'm assuming that means the hardware and software and anyone and network, anything that is related to the operation of that mobile phone, that they're wanting to influence the system's architecture. Now, that's next level. So they're not just wanting to get the data off the phone. They're wanting, and this, oh my God, this leads into such massive issues. Because we've been saying for years, why is there only two major mobile networks in the world? How have they convinced billions of people to be limited either to Apple or to Android? How is that possible? It is nonsensical. It makes no sense whatsoever that there would only be two major mobile networks and everybody else is with the exception of specialized corporate products, the entire planet is using one of two mobile operating systems. And whose benefit would that be? To whose benefit would it be for the entire planet to be using one of two networks?
Yeah.
To the benefit of those who are collecting on those networks. And then this ties into the targeting of innovators and of people who are creating new products and new systems. They are targeted, as we've discussed previously. So this simple line in this document, the simple define and implement their strategy, shape and influence corporate policy and architecture. Policy, okay, fine. The government wants to, wants to bend business to its will via policy, but architecture to actually influence the way that they establish and operate their corporate systems.
Yeah, when I read architecture, what struck me was trying to get around encryption, to have that, the backdoor into the actual device itself, possibly. But I know much less about technology than you do, so I may be incorrect.
Let's see what chat has to say about this. So I suspect it has something very interesting to say, because we have cool people that say cool stuff.
And I know that, Vault 7 did reveal a lot about what the CIA was doing with a lot of this stuff, at least later on. But this is probably a long time before all of that was developed.
Okay. Kathy's saying that the gold clock in that awards document is a euphemism.
Oh, okay.
Matt says it's tying everything together. Yeah, this is tying everything together. Absolutely. It's also confirming what we suspect. Wow.
Yeah, and I like that it's giving us this, it's filling in kind of like the history before we get to stuff like Vault 7. And I know that, this is the NSA, not the CIA, but still, I feel like this is giving us some background to the impetus that led to that type of thing.
That's completely fantastic, Elizabeth. You're right. And I mean, I think people look at it and go, oh, this is like 13 years ago, you know, it must be irrelevant. But as you're saying, this is the foundational knowledge that is making everything else. It's training us. It's actually training us to be able to analyze the documents that come next. It's actually, I'd say ingenious. I'm just putting this link in because I think that this is extremely significant and I definitely want to write about it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely significant. Yeah, I think, you know, it's significant to write about, and it's another one of those documents that definitely teaches me a lot personally as well. So,
I mean, this I don't even understand. Like, have a look at this. Monitor and influence efforts within the US intelligence.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow.
What the hell does that mean?
So this is obviously, this looks like it's talking about efforts from within a smaller group in the intelligence community, like within the NSA, to then control other parts of the intelligence community, which there, you know, you might assume that type of thing goes on, but this is actually writing it down. Huh. I wouldn't expect to see that as a dot point in a document like this, particularly. Am I off base on that, or is this unusual?
I'm saying this because I think this is a massive find.
I agree.
And also this.
Yeah, no, that last dot point is really, I mean, that's very, very, very shocking, surprising to me. I mean, yeah, I would go back, when I'm looking at this, I'm going to go back and I'm sure we can look at it now, but just seeing exactly who wrote that document and to who, because I want to know what they mean by influencing the intelligence community. Who is the one that's going to be doing the influencing? Are they talking about the entire NSA influencing the other agencies, or are they talking about a small group within the NSA influencing the rest of the agency and other agencies? Like, what does that exactly mean? And I mean, maybe we can't know that, but I still think that the fact that they even wrote it and as a dot point like that is incredible.
I think that's an extremely significant find. Extremely significant find. That appears to validate, and I've found, you know, I've had this experience so many times with these files. I feel like they're validating my work, my writing, like things that I've written about and I've said, like, this is what we're observing happening. Now we have actual documents that we can hold up and go, and here is the NSA admitting to doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we need to read through the rest of it, but also I'm just a bit like, whoa, over the fact that we've just found that.
Yeah, well, and just drawing on your point, and I'm not diverting, I'm not attempting to rant, but when you say validating with primary sources, well, no, but that's exactly like with that article we published at Media recently that was really long about human trafficking. You know, that was a very far out there topic for a lot of people, but every single claim was backed up with primary sources and data and that type of thing. And that's what's so amazing, like you're saying, about having these primary documents, having sources that you go through yourself and researching. Anyway, I could go on a long rant about that, but it's really important to research documents yourself.
It's absolutely incredible. Okay, let's go through the rest of it. Predict What's True just said that he's seen my documentary the other day and that it's gripping. Wow, thank you. That documentary was the most significant thing about that documentary for me was that it's actually the first time I'd ever put myself on camera. Like in 5 years of covering, actions, I always filmed what was happening. I never ever put myself in front of the camera. So when you watch that documentary, you can actually see me visibly like shitting myself because I'm so unused to being the one who's in the view. I'm used to it now because I've just spent the whole year doing internet party stuff and whatever else. But in my entire journalism career up to that point, I had never, ever, ever been in the frame of the shot. So yeah, and also the stuff I was talking about was not particularly pleasant to be talking about. But okay, back to this document.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what's in the rest of it now. The exploitation of this critical set of technologies needed to be formalized. Late 2002, they established the office. Just copy that from my notes. To define and implement a wireless strategy. It's a strategy for collections, shape and influence corporate policy and architect. This, I'm convinced, is huge. Align and direct efforts within the NSA. I mean, this is what you'd expect them to be doing.
Yeah.
This is what you'd expect them to be doing.
Yeah.
This is what you would expect them to be doing. This is game-changing for our entire society, that
absolutely
an intelligence agency would influence the systems architecture of private companies and corporates.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. And then also, yeah, that second point and the last point are both amazing.
And then this is also significant. It's of lesser significance. It's of interest, I would say. This is of interest, that they would be monitoring and influencing the wireless collections efforts of other elements of the US intelligence community.
Yeah, I that's news to me. I mean, it's something that you would infer a lot of times, or that you've maybe heard about colloquially, but I've never seen this type of thing actually just admitted straight up as a dot point in a document like this, at least not by the NSA.
We don't know who it's from. We just know the office that it's from, which is the Wireless Portfolio Management Office.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to know who this is coming from and what group was trying to influence which group, because it doesn't even specify if it's within just the NSA or that it's talking about. I mean, it is talking about the US intelligence community, but I don't know.
Right. To date, they have developed their strategy, which is the wireless implementation plan, to governing how the exploitation capabilities are shared and protected in tactical environments, i.e. on the ground in operations, and a formal memorandum of agreement with the CIA on joint governance of how wireless exploitation capabilities are shared with liaison entities, meaning foreign partner liaison officers. A formal memorandum of agreement with the CIA. Now that's a big deal for them not just to have a policy on it, but them to have a contract.
Yeah, that is a big deal for sure.
Okay.
And a formal one.
I'm going to add that to my notes really quickly. Is the memorandum of agreement, not of understanding, of agreement with the CIA.
Yeah, formal agreement, yeah.
That's a legally binding contract. So people are screaming for it in the rest of the intelligence community, that they want the capabilities. The immediate need to share capabilities beyond NSA might have something to do with that monitoring and influencing efforts within the US intelligence community.
That makes sense.
But monitor, I mean, the idea.
Yeah, that's what struck me.
You know, this is completely uncharted territory. Like Snowden used the example of them even, like, in theory, spying on President Obama or someone like that. We know that CIA spied on Senate Intelligence Committee, but the idea that a spy agency might spy on a partner spy agency, or monitor, as they say,
Yeah.
The implications of that are like mind-blowing.
Yeah, no, that's what I was really struck by in that line.
Now,
That they would do it and that they would admit to it in just black and white terms like that.
To be fair, monitoring might not mean collections monitoring. Monitoring might be just like keeping an eye on the progress of or whatever. But when they're an agency that constantly uses that language in relation to collections.
And when they're talking, I think this document is basically talking about wireless acquisition, right? I mean, they're talking about sharing that technology a little bit later on, and that's what they're talking about the development of.
Is that this is something that NSA is trying to hold on to.
Yeah.
This is actually the first evidence I think of like something them being really territorial about something.
Yeah.
Because they allude to that where they say the need to share the capabilities beyond the NSA suggests that currently it's the NSA with those capabilities.
Definitely.
And then the fact that they had to go so far as to have a legal contract with the CIA about joint governance of how the capabilities for the exploits are shared with other people, other not just, well, they say entities, I guess that's the best word, but meaning other Five Eyes countries, et cetera, other partner organizations, means that there must have been some kind of stoush over who would be able to do this and how they would be able to do it, and who else would be allowed to know that they're doing it. In drawing up the wireless implementation plan, they gained, here we go. An extended team gained comprehensive knowledge of NSA wireless development activities across data acquisition, analysis, production, and research. So that's why this is so huge. So this is so huge because it relates to everything they want to know anything about, basically. All of their divisions are wanting product that is a result of these wireless exploits.
Yeah. The team concentrated on, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm really studying each sentence very carefully.
No, yeah, you're fine.
The extended team gained comprehensive knowledge of NSA wireless development activities. Is different to collection activities.
So what do you think that infers specifically?
Well, it depends what they're developing. So they can be developing analytical tools, like specialized pieces of software to enable them to exploit and collect better. Or given that they want to influence the architecture of the corporates, to influence the architecture of the corporates, they have to know what they want to influence. They have to know how they want the corporate architecture to be. They have to actually have their own, like they have to create a systems architecture that suits them in order to be able to convince the corporates to have uptake of that. So they would need to develop that architecture in order to be able to do that. So they would need to be sitting there asking themselves questions like, how do we want this to operate? How do we want, what access points do we want to have? How do we want to get around the encryption? How do we blah, 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 blah. So they would have to have an internal game plan long before they started actually going near any of these companies and trying to get them to do stuff.
Absolutely.
That's my read of development activities, is that it's not just enough for them to create this office to deal with wireless. They need to create the ways, there's so many varied factors to it. It's like the ways to exploit require tools, but then to influence entire industry, they need to have architectural plans. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. I think this document is actually mapping it out pretty well, piece by piece. So This is easily an entire article in itself.
Definitely.
Comprehensive knowledge of their wireless development activities. So I take this to mean that they have gone into each of these divisions and they have looked at what activities are already happening in these various places that relate to wireless collections in one way, shape, one way or another.
The team concentrated on the president's approved intelligence topics and quickly learned that every wireless technology was used by every Band A concern. And I have no idea what that means, meaning none of the technologies could be ignored. The team also embraced wireless strategies of 4 pillars.
I'm more interested in what this NSPD 26 is, because I remember there was it was a presidential directive. I'm sure that's what the PD stands for. It's something presidential directive.
That makes sense.
And it was, Snowden's referenced it several times. In fact, I remember at one point I actually had a link to it. It's like a once in a blue moon document, I'm pretty sure, that set out a strategy directly from the President of the United States in relation to the activities of the intelligence community.
Wow.
Okay. I bet you'd be able to find me a link, please, to that the special presidential directive or whatever it was. Actually, let's just check in with chat because there's a lot going on at the moment. I feel like
this document's kind of amazing. Yeah,
that's incredible. Oh, Jenny Lynn's here. Very cool. The fly is asking for the doc title. The title of the document is NSA's Wireless Portfolio from the Wireless Portfolio Management Office. Why are cell phones so important? Really think about how much control that is, Matt says. Protect What's True points out that shape and influence corporate policy and architecture as their second bulletin seems that they really wanted to emphasize it. It's way up there in priority. Yeah, I think they're wanting to rein in the development activities of the corporate sector and they're trying to control the strategic direction of the technology.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that raises the question or the topic for me of something that we saw a bit of in Vault 7, which is, either creating or having access to taking advantage of potential weaknesses that can get around attempts to privacy, whether it's encryption or anything else.
Jenny Lynn, I agree with all of your comments. Wow. Matt saying what happens when AI makes the decision over who lives or dies by drone.
Yeah, no, that's it. The whole AI topic is huge, and I think Julian Assange has done a good job bringing it up to people's attention. Definitely a really worrying issue.
Crocketer, can you do me a favor, please? And when you stick a link in, can you please tell people what the link is and then put the link? I mean, I know what it is because I asked you to put it there, but just for the benefit of other people. National Security Presidential Directives. And this is the specific link to the specific directive. Wow, really good. Good, good, good. Well done. Thank you very much for that. National security presidential directives. Fantastic, Cockatoo. Thank you. Can someone make sure that you are putting Cockatoo's links into the pirate pad? That would be really, really great. Okay, let's get back to this document because there's still a bunch more reading to do in it. Quickly learned that every wireless technology was used by every band aid concerned, meaning none of the technologies could be ignored.
What does band A mean? Is that one of my ignorant?
It seems like a targeting reference.
Okay.
So that's what it seems like to me. Whatever their top tier of institutions to monitor.
That makes sense.
The team also embraced the wireless, because wireless, is like a wireless router or cell phone or a wireless. There's wireless it lists at the top what it can relate to. It's very broad. It's very, very, very broad. Cell phones, satellite phones, mobile trunk mobile radio, wireless networks, etc., etc., etc. And I mean, they're this worried about it in 2004. And look at it now, And this is the next thing, is that now we're 13 years after they've been influencing the architecture of wireless for corporate networks. What would the state of it opens up questions like this. What would the state of wireless technology be if they hadn't been influencing the architecture?
Yeah, I mean, because we all complain about facial recognition on the latest iPhone, but we don't really talk about this type of issue with wireless itself. So really raises some fundamental questions about that.
And if they're influencing the architecture of wireless development in the corporate sphere, why wouldn't they be influencing the architecture of hardware development or of other technologies as well? So as you've just pointed out, whose idea was it to have facial recognition integrated with cell phone technology?
Yeah.
For a long time, people have speculated that it was the intelligence agencies.
That would logically make sense to me.
But this is the closest we've got, I think, ever to proving that they have a hand in the development of all of this.
Yeah. No, it's a really valuable document for proving that type, or for showing that type of interaction, for sure. I mean, because we've shown them interacting with academia and the corporate world before. Definitely, the Venn diagram has been shown a number of times. But to have them in black and white themselves say that they intend to influence the corporate world, to have their own intent laid out like that, that's really interesting, and that's new. So.
Yeah, and as someone said before, it's in fact right. They listed it second as their priority, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Okay, I want to keep going. I feel like every paragraph we get more context.
Definitely.
No. None of the technologies could be ignored. The team also embraced the wireless strategy's 4 pillars for accessing wireless communications in priority order of consideration. Buy it, enable it, take it, and finally collect it. What in the heck?
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me, actually.
The team also embrace the wireless strategies, 4 pillars for accessing. So they're referring to their strategy document that they created to govern the activities of this team, the wireless implementation plan.
Yeah.
So in the wireless implementation plan, we now know it contains a 4 pillars concept. The 4 pillars concept in that plan is governs how they access wireless communications in priority order: buy it, enable it, take it, and collect it.
I'm just surprised it doesn't say develop it.
Fascinating. In addition, the team looked at the foundational tools and services required to exploit wireless, which is an often overlooked part of the cost of doing business. This, I'm going to just mull over this for a while. I've got some ideas about what I think it is, but I don't know enough at this point. We laid out program plans for a basic level, a credible level, and an unconstrained level of investment. Level of investment in who and what, moving away from proximal collectors towards accessing wireless data at the network core will mean a significant increase in the buy it, enable it, take it pillars.
Basic level makes sense, but credible level?
Moving away from proximal collectors means collecting from the device side toward accessing wireless data at the network core, which means collecting at the systems end.
Okay.
Will mean a significant increase in the buy it, enable it, and take it pillars. Okay, so what this sounds like is that what that buys us in terms of tangible results and robust exploitation, most of the wireless technologies used worldwide and improve global coverage. We must now move out smartly towards making the plan a reality. Oh my God, okay. This sounds like their methodology for breaching a specific wireless product is to literally go and buy that product and to use that product and to do a take on it and then to know how they're going to collect on it. That's what it sounds like. That it's an analysis process, right? Because you think about it, if they're trying to breach technologies they know nothing about, what is the best way for them to do that? Is to test the usage of that technology for themselves and then to work out where the vulnerabilities are. But this, to move away from the proximal collectors, which is, the endpoint focus, towards accessing wireless data at the network core, which means at the provider, within the system's architecture of the provider itself, will mean a significant increase in the buy it, enable it, and take it pillars. What that buys us in terms of tangible results is robust exploitation of most of the wireless technologies used worldwide and improved global coverage.
Wow.
That sounds like rather than buying, enabling, taking, and collecting on the device, they're actually somehow making some financial investment in the networks, in the wireless networks themselves.
That's exactly what that sounds like to me.
The wireless implementation plan has been endorsed by senior management, and not even senior management, the heads of deputy directors of the agency. That's amazing. I feel like we need to know a lot more about this.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go to the intercept.com and search on this, buy it, enable it, take it, and collect it, and search on this wireless implementation plan, whenever they reference a document, Elizabeth, that we don't have access to, but then it gives specific details, it gives away specific details of what that document contains, we need to draft that out in our notes.
Definitely.
Like we did for the global network one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's huge.
Absolutely.
Huge. Read in economics, I completely agree. He says, I hate, or she says, I hate how the government uses technology for nefarious purposes. Technological advances should be used for good, to help people and bring them together, not for spying and murder. That's just spot on. NSA's wireless portfolio, and there's a document in chat from the fly. Protect what's true. I don't think that they mean the consumer buys it. I think they mean the NSA buys it. So they literally go and buy the handset or the router or the whatever technology it is.
Yeah.
To perform analysis on it. But the next question is when they're talking about the network core and then needing significantly more money in order to apply the same 4-pillar strategy to the network core, then I don't even want to speculate on what they could mean, but I've got a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It's like the CIA's investment company, In-Q-Tel, whatever, runs around buying up all these technologies. What we seem to have stumbled across is the NSA version of the same thing.
Yeah, and that's huge. Absolutely huge. Definitely. Yeah, no, that's one of those major documents that kind of like it you don't even have words to really sum up how huge it is, you know?
Wow. Really, really wow. Okay, let's check out this link that the fly has given us. This XML file does not appear to have any style information attached to it. The document tree is shown below. Fly, I can't access that link. Can you archive.org it or something? That's to my current doc. Maybe because I'm using the wrong browser then. Oh, you're linking to this one. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were linking to something else. Can someone please check the Internet Archive, the Intercept Archive for wireless implementation plan, and see if you can if you can fish us out any other information about this. Okay, thanks, Cockatoo. I think that this is one of these great significant documents we've found. Like we've probably got like 6 documents that have been like world changing insights.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and the last one we had like that, I believe, was the US UN document that we looked at, where the NSA was talking about it directly, helping to develop the UN's role decisions in Iraq and all that sort of thing. So.
Cool. Okay, guys. Should we wrap it there? I know it's kind of shorter, only an hour and a half, but that's the end of that document.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good stopping point.
That document's amazing.
Unless you want to just go through a couple, like breeze through and see if a couple more.
Well, we've got three that are still open on my browser. So let's have a look at those, and then let's just have a chat with everyone, and then let's go.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm still really tired.
Yeah, no, the fact that you do get up every single stream at that ungodly hour is amazing and incredible. So
I think it's a small price to pay for freedom and being able to actually continue my work. But sometimes it's easier than others.
Yeah, I totally understand. I think for me, when I have insomnia, it's sometimes easier just to stay up rather than go to sleep and wake up.
Yeah, I have noticed that the nights when I'm not doing these streams, I end up like aimlessly walking around at like this time.
Yeah.
So it does affect your body clock, but that's all right.
Definitely.
Okay, let's get through this. Shared Vision program is up and running. Link access programs. There's a new initiative underway, a partner program to modernize the satellite sites. Interesting. With endorsement from all of the Five Eyes and signing a memorandum of agreement. Okay. See, this satellite stuff doesn't actually interest me that much, but there might be other people who are very interested by it. It's just not really at all my field of expertise.
Yeah. I think, I mean, for me, just noting the name and that's what it is, like Shared Vision, just a minor note, maybe in the pirate pad, unless you've seen it before.
If what this is saying is that Waihopai Spy Base in New Zealand, Pine Gap, and oh god, the name of the other Aussie bases just escaped me. If what this is saying is that the satellite collection of like those giant freaking bubble dishes that they have like at the bases is all going onto a shared platform, which is what this does sound like here. The ultimate goal of the program, the blockchain of the field site architecture, will be achieved by developing and deploying a common, flexible, scalable, and responsive architecture to all the sites. And that would be significant.
Yeah.
That would be very significant. I'm thinking about what Kim's case recently proved, which was that even after the GCSB, well, I mean, you can never trust anything they say, but this is the official story, is that even after the GCSB ordered a stop to the illegal spying on Kim.com, that the NSA continued accessing his data through the GCSB infrastructure.
Yeah, I remember that being reported. It's awful.
This might be what enabled them to do that. Because if they have a shared platform architecture, blah, 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 of the satellite collection sites, then in theory, they would be able to independently use that architecture.
Definitely. It's scary. The implications of that are really, really intimidating, I think. I mean, maybe not brand new, but still pretty, kind of, backs up what has been shown in Kim's case, for sure.
Let's have a quick look here. The most significant aspect of this ambitious program is the division of effort and use of partnerships as a model of cooperation. See, shared vision is really double speak, right? That's really double speak. It's like shared strategic vision because we're partners, but shared physical vision because they're gaining physical vision through accessing their satellite systems. So what this means is that, because all the reporting to date about Pine Gap and Waihopai has been that GCSB is collecting on behalf of NSA, or that Australia is collecting on behalf of NSA and then sharing the data. But what this means is that NSA can actually operate the equipment themselves.
Yeah,
exactly. They're not just sharing, they're actually physically using all the. In fact, we go back to that global network thing where they said we have to make full use of the global intelligence resources.
Yeah.
What this means is that GCSB is NSA.
Mm-hmm. The infrastructure that they have is literally able to be used at any time by the NSA.
What it means is that the NSA is literally operating the equipment,
yeah,
and using the resources of the partner countries,
yeah,
and dressing it up as a shared vision.
Yeah, when they say shared, they mean controlled.
Each partner is developing and providing components or engineering talent to this effort, which is being managed by the Program Management Office. So they actually have like a whole team relating to this. Under this agreement, each partner is reliant on the others to develop and support each partner is reliant on the others to develop and support whole components of the overall shared vision system. NSA will lead the integration. Yeah, and why is that? NSA will lead the integration of because they're the ones that want to be able to use it. But for perhaps the first time, a truly Five Eyes system development effort is underway. This is huge.
That's 2 documents in a row that were interesting. Great. Getting into some good
stuff. I think Kim would be very, very, very interested in this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that seems to relate pretty much directly with his case, for sure.
The reason the NSA is leading the integration of the system is because aspects of the NSA system are not available to the Five Eyes. But what this is doing is making all of the Five Eyes infrastructure, physical infrastructure, because this is the satellite collections, available to the NSA.
Yeah.
Incredible. God, now I'm thinking about all these like presses and stuff of like the director of the GCSB and the questions they get asked. Like, no one who's ever asked them a question about this? No one.
Yeah.
Like whoever has asked the NSA about this. Excuse me, are you able to operate the satellites at the GCSB spy base at Waihopai? Like, no one's ever asked this. This completely untouched ground.
Yeah, and one would imagine, and this is a really obvious point, but I think it's just kind of interesting when they say shared vision. It's obviously it doesn't need to be said, but it's implied to me that it's a one-way street, sort of. Like, I doubt very much that the New Zealand authorities are going to be accessing. They're not going to be accessing NSA infrastructure in America or the US or the UK.
Exactly.
I think it's.
Yeah. Which is why NSA is leading the integration. Nobody else can lead the integration because nobody else has access to NSA systems.
So it's an example of intelligence community imperialism. It's having.
Oh my God, you just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You just completely hit the nail on the head. Yes, they have supremacy. They have created a situation where they have supremacy and control over the entire global intelligence community, and where they market to them. They sell like, you will be able to access information from this other country and this other country if you give us complete and total control of your system.
Yeah. Just like in the old days, you were able to trade if you are a part of our collective. And so like the infrastructure in these various countries is like a colony, way back when. So
these premises completely are a total subversion of the autonomous nation states of these countries.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when people talk about the fact that Australia or New Zealand or the UK is, almost like a puppet state for the US militarily, this supports that, black and white. And I think that's huge. So
51st state of America, 52nd state of America.
Exactly. Yeah. And people talk about that, and that's a really valid concern. And this is the type of information that really validates that and corroborates it.
The Cullen Reddy report in New Zealand investigation into the intelligence services stated the national interest of a foreign country can never be perfectly aligned with the national interest of New Zealand. It cannot be, because New Zealand is a sovereign state. New Zealand must have its own national interest pertaining to itself that cannot ever be synonymous with that of another country whose national interest is pertaining to itself. This is a total subversion of our sovereignty.
Yeah, and it's another form of globalism that a lot of people don't know, unaware of in this way, in this type of terminology. So
also, we look at the scale of influence. So what they were just discussing in the prior document, so they want to not even just influence a business or influence a industry. They want to influence the entire strategic development of a massive communications technology on a global scale forevermore. Yeah. So this is impacting every level of society. This is impacting consumer society. This is impacting the business sectors of society. This is impacting on science and research and everything else. This is literally touching every facet of society. So it's an overt admission of not just control, but manipulation of the course of the future. They keep talking about the future and how obsessed they are with the future, because it's not just about controlling the now, it's about controlling the future, controlling the evolution of the technology. And in doing so, meddling in the evolution of humankind.
Yeah, which and I think I saw somebody mention this in chat possibly, or it could have been on Twitter earlier. But using these technologies could have potentially been developed in such a way they would have benefited everybody and kind of increased equality and all of these humanitarian goals. And instead, they're supporting the corporate infrastructure, the military-industrial complex, all of these issues. So definitely, there's a huge issue with what you're talking about, with them controlling the development of this, of such an important aspect of our society now.
So, particularly what True says, they're getting chills hearing that NSA is mobilizing under a shared vision. Yeah, I get these moments all of the time where the size and significance of it just washes over me, and I understand how impactful this is.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to explain to someone before, is that I feel like the area of my work just expands and expands and expands and expands and expands. Like, it used to be about the impact of these agencies upon one specific geographical location, like the FBI's involvement in Auckland and the raid on Kim.com and whatever else. And like slowly I zoomed out to the Five Eyes as I understood more about that this is a global issue, and out to the NSA. But now when we're studying things like this, like we are discovering their involvement in wars and the subversion of the United Nations, and now in the subversion of an entire technology sector and the future of the evolution of technology. And like it's like, how much bigger can it get?
Yeah, really.
How much bigger can it get?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
They are knowingly making decisions that impact billions of people, and impact the behaviors, the consumer behaviors, and the evolution of millions of people.
Yeah.
Okay, just double back to this doc.
Yeah, and given that this is a military, this is part of the whole, apparatus of the deep state, this is not something that I think most people would want to have, creating and constructing a massive part of our societal infrastructure experience, so a technology that people might assume is independently created.
No one, if you ask we talk about like consent to the governed. Like,
yeah.
Who would think it's a good idea to do any of
exactly
nonsensical? Only like an incredibly authoritarian person would be like, it's a great idea for us to have 1,200 military bases around the world and to be engaged in multiple in an endless war. In fact,
definitely
war on an adjective or
yeah, and that's, get into the conversation where that's why the political theater has to do such a good job of pretending that there is a partisan difference about, in relation to all of that. So.
Okay, I've just taken notes on that. Well, this might be timely, this next document. managers. So you need some money for a program. For example, subverting the entire evolution of wireless networking.
Yeah.
As the
Take that box off the list.
That one, we already got that covered. There is a mature process in place for vetting and approving unfunded requests and identifying the sources of funding to pay for them.
So that I read that as that's the old school NSA. That's like the old authority structure.
Exactly. We're not authorized to have reserves or money to fund our shortfalls. That means either ongoing activities must be reduced or it must be forwarded to the NSA Corporation. What?
That takes them being like a business to a whole new level.
What do you mean the request must be forwarded to the NSA Corporation? You are the NSA. Don't tell me they have a separate business entity. What is the difference between the NSA and the NSA Corporation? Okay, let's ask chat. No, we don't have a dark budget, says Cockatoo. Yeah, sure. KFDM. Kathy, I literally read that as KMFDM, the Electronic Music Act. Remember, it's illegal for anyone except CNN to look at these files, says The Fly.
Does that apply to these files too? I thought that was just WikiLeaks. Or the Podesta emails.
Protect what says the 40 eyes are waiting for crumbs from the 5 eyes, pretty much. And worst of all, they're selling the data of their entire civilian population to the 5 eyes in order to get those crumbs dripping down. Maybe like the Trump Corporation, says Kathy B. Okay. Oh my God, this has got to be another screenshot, honestly.
MG Quirk is always in the interesting documents. I say that because I think I remember him being in the first interesting document we looked at.
I think he's pretty much just the pen pusher that is to sign off on all this craziness.
Yeah.
He's delegated all responsibility to the deputies.
Of course he has.
Therefore, he can play golf more often. Okay. That's just strange. The NSA Corporation reference. So what I take that to mean, we knew the NSA operated like a corporation. We didn't know they literally had a corporation.
Definitely.
So what is the difference between the National Security Agency and the NSA Corporation? This is the real question. This is what I said to about how we would I want to get into the financials of how, because we know from the Snowden releases in 2014 that GCSB was accepting money in the millions from the NSA, hundreds of millions, in order to do what it does. It's literally receiving, I mean, this is like definition of treason, is like supplying information on own population to a foreign power for money, literally. So the GCSB has a corporation and the NSA has a corporation, and that's how the money is traded back and forward, because the agencies themselves wouldn't be able to do that? I don't know. This is the question.
Yeah. And my question relating to that is, can we FOIA those companies? Because are they part, because even though they're a corporation of a government agency, are they separate from government operations to the extent that we can't?
I think you would find all of it would be sealed on national security grounds.
That's true.
So
yeah.
Regardless of whether or not you could try and sue them, and it would be sealed. It would be sealed on national security grounds. Basically, the only way we can get information about this stuff is by conscientious people on the inside leaking the information, which once again is why WikiLeaks is so important, why Snowden is so important.
Definitely. I just mean in theory, like the way that an agency, any government agency, is separate to a charity or a corporation, an NGO, anything like that, or a church, anything that isn't a government entity cannot then be FOIA'd in the same way. So
which is I'm just wondering when we see the NSA partner organizations that it turns out are registered as non-profits.
Yeah, exactly.
Charities like the Global Institute for, what was it?
Is it International Affairs or something?
International Studies, Institute for International Studies, something like that. Okay. It's unbelievable. It's like how far-reaching it is. Like this octopus, right? They have like little tentacles going out in every single direction, like around the world and locally, and into business, academics, and everything. Oh my god, incredible.
Definitely.
So there's our next question: is what in the heck is NSA Corporation?
Definitely, that's like a whole article in itself. It's just exploring what that is and what it does and questions about it.
Wow. Okay. So we definitely need to make a note of that one as well. NSA Corporation. Or the request. Either ongoing activities must be reduced if SID accepts a request for funding, or the request must be forwarded to the NSA Corporation. But SID has had limited success with this latter approach.
Interesting.
So the NSA Corporation must be a separate entity.
Yeah.
Must be. And that separate entity doesn't like giving money to the above board government programs.
Interesting. Well, what do they like giving money to? That's my question.
Bingo. Secondly, all responsibility has been delegated to subordinates conveniently. Therefore, they've delegated it to a separate unit which conducts the request process for the benefit of the people who it was originally pushed down to. So basically, nobody wants to deal with this. That's what I get from that. Or they don't want responsibility for it. So they're pushing the responsibility from the top to the deputies, and then the deputies are pushing it onto a separate unit. And so everyone can just point down and say, no, it was their fault.
Yeah, no, it's the musical chairs or it's the football they're throwing around, it's that type of situation.
Here is how it works. Anyone can identify a shortfall, but only designated representatives from those places can validate it and submit it for inclusion. What is UFR? unfunded request. The reps for them are such and such and such. They have a template they must fill out, blah, 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 blah. Then they can submit the request. However, if they decide it's not valid, then it's not eligible. You know, I'm starting to think that this explains this whole nonsense process here. Explains why they didn't have enough of anything. They were completely under-resourced. Yeah. Do you remember when that document with that manager saying, like, we're all squeezed in here, we don't have enough space, we don't have enough desks, we don't have enough physical resources?
Yeah.
This seems to be part of that issue.
Definitely.
Once the total bill is identified, they have a set of business rules to identify the potential sources of funds. If the sources are deemed to be more valuable than what's being asked for, then you don't get funding. So because when they're talking about sources, they're talking about teams and departments that they can cut. So again, in previous documents, we've seen examples of them saying XYZ teams are now being combined into Team A, and therefore XYZ will no longer exist, and we have therefore shuffled around these resources, and this is why, so that they can then pay for their wireless technology collections division that they've just invented, or their whatever else. It's rather ironic that this document is meant to answer your questions about it.
Yeah, definitely.
That just all seems like a massive bunch of bureaucracy.
For sure.
But that NSA Corporation reference is very interesting.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. So guys, has anyone done a web search on NSA Corporation?
Not, I will.
NSA Corporation, a small organ the business serves industry located in Sugar Land, Texas. It opened its door in 2008 and now has an estimated 1 employee. What? Predicted was true. Where are you getting that from? Is that a joke? The 1 employee part is funny, yeah. Okay, I think you're joking.
I'm just looking it up really quick. That's interesting. There actually is information on that, like Bloomberg, where they have information on companies. There is a Bloomberg profile on the NSA Corporation. Interesting. If the page will load.
Cockatoo, NSA Corporation manufactures and distributes starters and alternators in the United States. Its products are used in industrial and heavy-duty applications and imported in domestic automobiles. Founded in 1972, based in Sacramento, California. There must be more NSA corporations, Cockatoo. And I would say that that is not the right one. By the sound of it, NSA Corporation is actually quite a common name in the business registry. Okay. So the question will be finding the one that actually pertains to the real NSA.
Yeah. Yeah, well, for some odd reason, I mean, my connection looks like it's fine, but Bloomberg is not wanting to load it all, so I can't get any information on whichever NSA corporation it's talking about.
Okay. And that was the last document anyway for tonight. So we're only up to 113. It's not a whopping amount of progress, but my God, we discovered some interesting stuff.
Definitely.
Really, really, really interesting stuff. Okay, guys, I'm pretty wiped out. Is there any questions for us or anything like that? Anything you guys have to say or want to talk about before we go?
Why? Yeah, Matt, that's a great idea to cross-reference everything that we've looked at through WikiLeaks. Well, not every single thing, but whatever you feel inclined to look up. That's always really interesting to see what comes up.
And also, I don't believe that there is any whatsoever issue with you posting partial screenshots of these documents on social media. Personally, the original Snowden documents released in 2013 were copied in part and in whole thousands of times and have been posted all over the internet. I think that once it's in the public domain, once it's already public knowledge, that they can't apply the classification.
That should not be an issue.
Once it's been on CNN, it's no longer classified information. So
yeah, no, that really should not be an issue at all. Definitely not.
Unless you are currently an employee of the NSA, in which case they will be really unhappy with you sharing these documents. Well, if NSA does show up on your doorstep the fly, then I've got a list of questions that would be really great if you could ask them. I would start with, excuse me, what is the NSA Corporation?
Yeah. I think that the fact that the Intercept hosts these files, there should be absolutely no issue in posting screenshots of them or quotes from them anywhere.
Daniel Crawford, that's very amusing. Okay, guys, well done. Thank you. That was really super, super good. We found even more incredible stuff. The write-up for this batch is going to even blow out of the water all the previous write-ups. As amazing as they were, we really are finding more and more incredible stuff every session. I will see you guys on Thursday, your time, Friday, my time. Ah, God. Friday, your time.
Saturday, your time. It's complicated. I know it's counterintuitive, but I think it gives us the best amount of time to have a break between streams. Otherwise, it's dead.
The whole twice a week thing is working really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
Generally speaking. Okay. Anything else, guys? Any last words? Oh, that's so sweet. Look.
You guys are awesome.
That is so cute.
Thank you so much, Fly. You help out so much. All of you do. It really amazes me every single time how you guys help so much. So thank you a ton.
Thank you, Crockatoo. Thank you, Kathy B. Thank you, Protect What's True. Thank you, Fly, Matt, all you people talking. Thank you so much. You're all amazing and making this so, so cool and so fun to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Night, guys. See you later.
Bye.